Good afternoon and welcome to today's training.
Sorry. Okay, whenever you're ready.
I've got my video going, so I'm going to start recording. Good afternoon and welcome to today's demo of GoToTraining. GoToTraining is Citrix's virtual classroom product. It fits into our overall suite of collaboration products like GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, and GoToTraining. GoToTraining is built for the virtual classroom, built on the idea of simplicity, ease of use, but having the right set of features for a trainer to conduct a successful virtual class. So as we look through the interface, as we started the session today, I'm going to walk you through the interface, walk you through some of the features and functions of GoToTraining, and then we will move on from there. As I get started, I'm going to start showing off some of the functionality of the tool. And I'll start off with a quick poll to the audience just to find out what our level of trainer we have with us today. So how experienced are you hosting live online trainings? So everyone should see a survey pop up. And I'll give you a quick few seconds for you guys to respond to this poll. All right, looks like we have a good set of resources here. One thing you will notice with GoToTraining is I have the ability not only to do polls, but I can also share out the results if I'd like to. One thing to notice right here in the interface you'll see is that the polls were coming in. I was able to see those responses right down here. This is one of the things you'll notice with GoToTraining, and I have quick, easy access to see those results, and then even if I want to share out the results with the audience, which I can do. So the instructor is in complete control of what the students are seeing and how they are, kind of responding to the information, and then have the option to share out the results. Go ahead and close that down now. And, kind of looking through some of the other pieces here, some of the functionality. Let's start up at the top. Obviously, from the perspective of a content with GoToTraining, the primary content option for us is the ability to share your screen, as you see that right now. I have a few different options in here. I can share a single screen. I can share multiple screens if I'd like to. I can share what's called a clean screen, which is going to remove all the icons and everything from the desktop. I can also choose a specific application and share it out. And then I can also, if I'd like to, go down and share just the rectangle, which I'm doing today, which allows me to show the interface. One of the things I can also do while sharing is with a click I can give keyboard and mouse control to anyone in session. So I can go up, I can choose one of my attendees today, Carly or Renard, and give them keyboard and mouse control if I'd like to. I also have the option to make anyone in session the presenter. So if you think about how you would train, you potentially can give someone, walk somebody through a concept, give them keyboard and mouse control to practice that concept, and then pass control over them to let them prove to you that they can do the different pieces that you want them to do. So this is, kind of really simple set of tools here, but can be really effective in a training situation. Obviously, I have the option to record the session. We can talk about recording a little bit later in depth, but basically I can record. We provide cloud-based recording to an MP4 format that is easily accessible after the fact and that you can share with a single click with anyone that you'd like to see the recording. I have the option here to turn on my webcam, which I've done, as you can see. I can also share a video. This would be a video that would be located on my desktop. This is one of the lab features that we have with GoToTraining, so I can share a video out if I need to from my desktop. I'll also show you a little bit later how you can share a video via YouTube or Vimeo. Moving down, we have the audio options. Voice over IP and telephone are included in every call. So I can manage the options very simply, choose between those two. We do provide voice over IP and a toll-based number in every session that we do. We can also provide toll-free audio if needed. Moving down the interface, a few of the other features here. I will jump to the attendee list. This is where I can manage my attendees. You'll notice that I have a number of different attendees in session here. Their audio options. Everyone logged in today is using voice over IP. I can also see that a couple folks have the ability to turn their camera on. And I can manage these pieces here. If anyone raises their hand, which we have the option to do, I can see those pieces there. Right there, I see that Carly and Monica raised their hand. I can actually click on their hand to lower it if I need to, or I can lower all hands at once if I'd like to. I can mute people individually, or I can do a mute all. If I do a mute all, that means I have to make the decision to unmute the attendees. Real simple way to manage the audio. We also see in the audio area, when it's opened, the active talker. So you can see right there the active talker. And this is great for kind of managing large events. If you do leave the lines unmuted, this is a really simple way to kind of manage the audio, see where there's any feedback or any interference coming from, and be able to mute people individually. A few of the other features here. First off, the dashboard. This is going to track attentiveness. So I see at an overall class level, and I see down to the individual user level those attendees or students who are focused on me, paying attention, and I see those attendees that might be multitasking. This is something that I can use to kind of keep a virtual eyes on my audience to know who is multitasking and who is focused and paying attention. This is typically something where I'm looking for a trend. As an experienced trainer, I tend to look. I expect there's going to be some portion of my audience that does multitask throughout the session. And so what I'm going to be doing is looking for those folks and kind of checking up to see if Bernard's going to come back in the next 5 minutes, or if I get to a certain topic of content and I see a good majority of my class decide to, do something else or kind of move on, I'm going to wonder, why the content isn't valuable to them. So this dashboard is going to be a very key to letting me understand, kind of how my content is being perceived. We also have the audience view. The audience view is going to tell me two things. First off, it's going to tell me the latency of the session. So as I move my mouse around, or if I open up or bring in new things on the screen, this is going to tell me when the audience is caught up. So when this hits 100%, I know that everyone is seeing what I'm presenting. And I can also expand this and see exactly what I'm presenting. So I know exactly when the audience receives my image, and I know what image they are seeing. So I see that right there in session. Now I also have a few of the other tools down here. Chat, so this is the ability to communicate with my attendees either at a whole class level or the individual student level. I can go pick an individual student and communicate with them. I have the materials library. This is for any content that I've uploaded for in-class use for my students to access and download and start working on. I can set this to go pre-session or post-session if I need to, but right now I can, kind of access this, open this up, and these are things, and pretty much everything here I can turn on and off during the session. So if I want to hold the content back for a certain period of time and only make it available when I need to, I can do that very easily right up here. So the options menu gives me full control of what the attendee experience is. We've talked a little bit about the polls in the past. We also have the ability to do testing in the system. I can do pre-test, I can do post-test. The tests are going to allow me to go in and test during the session. Whereas a poll is a single question with no correct answer. A test is going to be up to 50 questions, true, false, multiple choice, fill in the blank answer set. And these tests can be delivered prior to the class, they can be delivered during the class, or they can be delivered after the session is over in the follow-up email. Now let me move on to a feature with activities. And what the activity feature is going to be is the ability for me to coordinate and push out different types of activities to my audience, either in a breakout group formula or format or in a typical full class format. These activities can range from Google Docs type collaboration activities to sending out Vimeo or YouTube clips, opening up documents through a PDF that they can read and access. But what this activity is going to do when I choose it is launch up a separate window here. So I'm going to pause my screen share really quickly. I'm going to choose to share the entire screen in a clean screen format. I'm going to pull my interface right over here, and then I'm going to launch up the activities. And as I do that, you will see that I have all of my attendees listed right over here on the left side. I can choose now any activity that I want to do. I can choose to either use a Google Docs type activity right here. I can choose to share a video, YouTube clip, PDF file, Vimeo clip would work as well. And when I choose these activities, I can choose to push them out to an entire class format, or I can choose to break up my audience in a certain number of groups. We can do up to 6 breakout groups, and this will match up to the number of folks I have in the audience. And then I can choose to push the activities to those individual groups. So let me move this off. All right, so with this, I have my edited document. This will allow me now to push out. One of the examples I like to use is a whiteboard. So what I've done is in my Google Docs, I've created a plain white Google Drawing doc that I can now launch out for the audience. This would be an example of a whiteboard function. Everyone can now go in. Any of my audience members, Carly, Monica, Renard, can start working on this document along with myself. I can go in and work on this document as well. So now we have multiple users kind of using this in a whiteboard type format. I can also choose now to maybe launch a different type of activity, maybe what I would call an icebreaker activity. This will be a map activity where everyone who is in session can choose. I've already got this set up with my location in Phoenix, Arizona already put, but now any of my students can go in and mark where they are. It looks like we have a lot of users in the Southern California area. It's no surprise. Very beautiful there. Once again, we are taking advantage of the collaboration activities built within Google Docs to push these out to either, once again, either the full classroom as I'm doing here, but I could also choose to create another activity and break the groups up into smaller groups. So if I wanted to push out Carly and Monica and Renard into separate groups, I could do that, and then I could choose the same activity and push it out to them. I can also, if I'd like to, choose to share out either a PDF. This would be an example of me pushing out a document, whereas before we were pushing out collaboration type activities for people to work on together. This is going to be me pushing out just a document for review. So if I wanted the groups to review and discuss something, I could do that. Or if I wanted to push out, once again, a YouTube or a Vimeo clip, this would allow me to stream that out. This is a quick YouTube video on GoToTraining activities. This is now loaded up on everyone's system, and the organizer can control this. So when I hit play, it'll play, and it can play through, and I have full control over this as it goes. And with that, I can close this down. And the nice thing here, too, is within my Google Docs folder, any of the activities that I push out, any of the collaboration activities I push out, they will all be listed. So if I go into my Google Docs folder, these activities that I pushed out in class, the templates of those, and the results from each class and each different group working on those files will be listed, and I'll be able to access those post-session. So with that, that is an in-session view of GoToTraining, and now we will go into the back end to show you how to set up, launch, and run reports across your trainings. I'm going to take a break there. Questions, feedback, anything? And we'll edit this out.
Okay.
Now, so as now we transition to the setup area of GoToTraining. This is where you would come in to schedule your trainings. This is where you would access the library of content to load into your classes. This is all materials that you or one of your other instructors have loaded beforehand. Any of the tests or polls, the surveys that have been created before, you can access those, make edits to those, and reuse those in your classes. This is where you can access your recordings. This is where you can access your reports. And basically the setup process is a simple few steps. Scheduling a session for next week. I will give it a title. A description. I can choose the occurrence. Is it a single occurrence? Is it a weekly or a monthly class that I do every week or every month? Is it a custom schedule? Meaning, am I going to launch this class and offer it multiple times next week, maybe Tuesday, next Tuesday the 20th and next Thursday the 22nd. I can schedule it that way, and now the students can either come to both of those classes if I'd like, or I could choose that they pick which of the two sessions they want to attend. So you have a number of different options when scheduling the sessions. Once I schedule, I can then go through and basically make the session available as needed, but first thing I want to do is walk through some of the parameters that I can set. First of those is there the ability to add in an extra organizer. So if there's other folks within my organization that might help with this training, might launch this training with me or in lieu of me, I can add any co-organizers. I can adjust any of the audio options that I need. So if I want to provide a toll-free number or take away a toll-free number, I can for this session. From a content perspective, this is where I can set the different materials that I want to make available. And once again, this is going to access either something I pull in from my local machine, something that I pull in from a web link, or I can access that existing library of content that I've used in the past, pull in different types of materials, PDF files, video clips, things along those lines, add them into the session, and then make them available, determining when I want to make them available. When they register during the training session, so this would be pre-work, made available during the training session as content to be downloaded and accessed during the session, or is this material that I want to be part of the follow-up after the session's over? Same thing with tests. I can go in, I can create a brand new test from scratch, or I can access that existing library, grab a test, drop it in, and once again determine, is this a pre-test? Is this a post-test? Is this an in-session exam? And what do I want to show upon completion to the end users? For the sake of this one, I'm going to do the same test when they register and when they leave, and I'm only going to show them their score. I'm not going to show them the correct answers. This will give me a good idea of the level of knowledge coming into the class and the level of knowledge leaving the class. I can also upload polls and tests right here, and I'll create a brand new poll. And I can also grab an existing poll from the library that I've used before. And finally, surveys work exactly the same way. I can pull in an existing survey, we call them evaluations, and determine when do I want to make that available. For this particular eval, I'm going to make it available as the training session ends and in the follow-up email. From there, I can determine the registration and payment settings. This will allow me to determine the size of the class. When do I want the registration for the class to close? What questions do I want to make available? I can create my own questions here as well. I can also now make this available via email. So I can just simply send the link out if I'm going to forward this on to a group of people that I know I have the email addresses for, or I can choose to add this class to an existing catalog. So if I have an example catalog out there, I can use this. These catalogs can be embedded into a website. So if I add this to a catalog, this is going to be a default URL that I can always go back to. And it has my example training class that I'm offering 2 times next week. You can also use these catalogs inside of your existing website. We give you the ability to embed these catalogs, one of the nice options there. To give you an idea of that, I will show you an example from one of the customers we work with called iRise. And on their public-facing website, they have a couple of our catalogs, one for training classes and one for certifications already preloaded. So once they've embedded these catalogs once, they will always be available right there. This is a big time saver for folks who have to publish their schedules. They do this work once with their web team to embed our catalog iframe in there, and from that point forward, they can always make their classes available via those catalogs. Finally, I can customize the emails, follow-up emails, reminder emails, and determine if I want to make a certificate of attendance available. One of the things that you can do is set up a certificate based on attendance of the training. And if I'd like to, I can also include any online recording that I do for this particular class. This will all now go up in the follow-up email along with the post-test and the survey that I set up for after the session. And at this point, I'm ready to either send out the email link, or this class is already listed on my catalog. As folks come to register for my class, let's give you an example. The student has found my registration link. They have clicked on it. They have plugged in their information. They have registered. They can now take the pre-test. They can now register. They've now registered so they can review the materials. They can add this training to their calendar. Our system will send them reminders an hour, a day, and a week before the training. That's scheduled. And as the organizer, I can come in, see the registration, access the registrants, see any of the data around those registrants right here. So now as the training gets closer, I can come in, run reports, see this, understand who's coming, who's registered, what my attendance is going to be like. Now that leads me to some other pieces here on the left side, the reporting area. This is where I can run reports across all the various functions. Registered, who registered for sessions, attendants who attended, how do people respond to surveys, how do people respond to tests. Any of these reports can be exported out into an Excel or a CSV format, so it's very easy to get the data out of the system. As I record the session, those recordings will be made available. We provide a cloud-based recording solution now. When that recording is done, I have the option to either download an MP4 version of that recording, or I can choose to share it. By sharing it, we're going to push that recording to our streaming service, and then there'll be a link that I can then share for people to view the recording. So it's very easy to record the sessions and then make those recordings available after the fact. And that is how simple it is to schedule a GoToTraining session.